So let's begin by setting up our Trifold Brochure document. So we'll start a new document. Now we're going to use letter size, US letter, that's 11 inches by 8.5. Now we need it in landscape mode. Now let's look at the dimensions. There we go, everything's in inches. We'll embed all the images. You don't want to be searching around looking for them, so it's only a small document. It's quite good just to embed them. Now we don't want facing pages. It's going to be a single page on its own, but they're arranged horizontally, which is landscape mode. Number of pages 1. Now we might actually do 2 because there's a front side and a back side. Colour, RGB is fine. Now if it's going to a print shop, that's fine. They'll sort it out, RGB or CMYK. If you're very fussy, you can make it CMYK, but if I was you, I'd leave it at RGB. That way, if it's printed in the office, you don't have to worry because your printer will do it for you. Okay, now, margins. Now, we want the margins all around the same size, so we're going to make them 0.075. The bleed is the same all the way around. That's going to be 0.125. I'm sorry, I've got the margins wrong. We want the margins 0.375. That's more like it. Where did I get the 0.75 from? 0.375 all around. Margins and bleed. Now we can go back there, just check everything's off, facing page is off. We don't want transparent background. Default master, yes, we're going to actually duplicate the master when we get there. So let's create our document. Click OK and up it comes. Now I'll reduce that a little bit. You can see the bleed there and you can see the margins. Now that's all. The margins just keep things neat inside the document. Now the next step we're going to do is put in some guidelines, because we've got a document there and a document there. Front page and back page. Now the secret with margins and the secret with guides, we're going to put folding guides in. And the secret with those is they're not the same for the front and the back because they're not equally spaced. Now let me come to that in a moment. Now to put in some guides in both page 1 and page 2, or master A and master B, so we can see what we're doing. So let's start with page 1, but we'll go to masters. We've got the masters there. Master A, we've selected master A. Now we need to put some guidelines in there. So what we need to do is turn on rulers. We want to be able to see what we're doing. So there's rulers. That's the windscreen wiper just beside it there. Go down till you see rulers and just tap the dot so it turns it on. And you can see there that you've got the rulers. Now let's go back to masters. We're on master A. Now what I've done, and I'd advise you to do strongly, is to put some hidden things in the masters. It makes it really easy because remember, if this is a template, you don't want to be ratting around in the filing cabinet looking for your bits of paper. Do it on here. So what I've done is put a layer set in here on the master and called it simply turn off before printing. It's made up of a number of layers, front cover, back cover, and we'll see all this, and there's our measurements there, 3.313, 7.313 at the top one, and 3.625. Let's turn that all on, and that's what it looks like on the document. Now you can see the margin lines there, and you can see the fold lines. 3.625 and 7.313. One of those pages has to be slightly smaller so that it fits, and that's usually the inside flap, because if that's your front cover and you fold it there and that's your back cover, those two pages are of equal size, but that one is slightly smaller so that it fits inside, or when it's folded it fits inside there. That one folds down on it and you don't get that ugly bow in the middle of it. Now let's go to the set of pages. We're still on masters. Let's look at master B, and I've done the same there. I've created a set of layers there, and you can see all the options there. Inside panel, inside panel B, and inside panel C. Panel A is your front cover, because remember that goes on the other side of the master A, and this is master B. So don't make the mistake of thinking that one's your front cover, that one's your front cover. That's the inside, and that's the inside of panel B and C. I could have named them the other way, but I found that was confusing. So panel A, B and C is the reverse of front, middle, back, isn't it? Okay. But you can see here that 3.688 is the size there, 7.376 is the size there. Now, if you like, you can drag some rulers out for those, and that way your pages are always, you needn't even have this on there then, because your pages are always going to have the right margins on them. But I like to use this because there is no doubt, this method, that you're not going to get mixed up. And before you print your document, you simply turn it off and then you can't see it. Simple as that. You could try that, but that only turns the bleed and the margins off. You preview, toggle preview, there's everything on. Now you could drag some rulers out again to put on those, but if you're using this, there's no need to use the ruler guides. Now let's have a look at what we've got here. I've got the guide settings turned on. That's in there, guide settings. And you can see here I've got 7.313, and that's a guide that I pulled out from the ruler. Now, by gently tapping on the first one, that's it there, you can just see the dotted line through there of the guide, and that one's at 3.632. We want to set that at 3.625. Okay, there we go. Now they're both set exactly on the line, and that's only applying to master A, that one there. Let's just save that before we go any further and lose them. Save, open it up again. Now there we go, we're right back where we were, and this is the outside document. The reason I've done that is because you can actually, that layer there, with all of that detail on it, you can turn it off and you've still got your fold lines there, and they will reflect down here on page 1. Now we haven't done that with page 2, but we've done it with page 1. Now those fold lines don't print, of course, but they stay there so you can see what you're doing. Very useful. Now of course you can turn off guides. Where are we? Guides. There's guides turned off. There's guides turned on, which is just what we want. Let's go back to pages. There's page 1. There's masters. There's master A. Let's just check that again. Wrong one, of course. There we go. Guides, guide settings. Now you can tell the guides are on because up in there, in the ruler line, there's a guide. And there's that guide there, 7.308. Now that's obviously not the right one because I remember that. Let's go and have a look. Go there, masters, layers, and turn the layer on. 7.313 is where we want that guideline. Guide settings. 7.313. Okay, now without getting too confused over all of that, what we've got there is some guidelines that are there even when the turn off before printing is deselected, although they don't print. Guidelines don't print, so you can leave them there to aid in your setting out, and that there's just to make sure you've got them in the right place. Let's go back to there. Master A. Now Master B, we can do the same thing. So those fold lines are now exactly where you want them. That's the inside. So that's the inside cover. Oops. Master A, Master B, Master A. They're all set up. Let's go back to pages. Pages there and pages there. There's your measurements. There's your guidelines. We can go to there and turn that off, and you're left with just your guidelines. Go back to there. Go to inside line. Now this is pages. Go to there. Turn that off. And there we go. Now masters, you can make sure they're turned off by going to the masters and turn off. Go to Master B and layers and turn it off. But those guides allow you to keep your pages without all the extra stuff in there. You can see that's turned on and turned off. Just in case you forget where you are, you can turn it on and turn it off. But those measurements for there, there and there are very important, so don't forget those. Now we can go on and do the rest of the document. Let me turn that back on first. Layers, turn that back on so we don't lose track of where we are. We're front cover, which is master, pages, pages. Now, we've got those in there. We've got that one, got those in there, turn that on there. Master B, you can see that there. And Master A, you can see that there. Okay, now the next step is to dress your brochure, and you could be doing all sorts of things with that. Now, just to show you how this all works in a real brochure, here's your school brochure. It's just a sample, and you can see that I've got the overlay still on there, front cover, back cover, and the inside flap. That's the bit that folds inside the back cover, folds over there, and then the front cover folds down flat on that, of course. You understand that. Now, there's not the back cover so much as the inside panel. This panel here is, I just moved that slightly. This panel here is the panel that goes inside the front cover of there. So where it says Sun Hill School there, this right-hand panel, the inside panel C, that's the one that goes inside that. Fairly straightforward. Now, go back to there and you can see that we've got all that. Obviously, you have to turn that overlay off before you print. So you go up to here and turn off before printing. So you can turn that off. Let's turn all of those off. Now you can see we've got it down there. Let's turn all that back on. There's turn off before printing. Turn off before printing. Let's go back to there and you can see that now. If you want to completely turn it off, you can go to Masters, go up to there and you can see I've got it turned off before printing there. And there it is back on again. That will actually show up in there if you don't turn it off in both places. Masters and Pages. There's page 1 again, right at the front. Pages, that's page 1. And this one down here is the same. You can turn the panel off. You can still see the blue lines where everything lives, but you can remove that because you just toggle the preview pane. Now that's what it looks like without all the blue lines and boundaries and markers on it. Let's remove that. Go to that one there, go back to page 1. You'll note preview is still on. And we've still got front cover there, so let's turn that off. Turn off the front cover. And go back, and there's preview still on. So that's what it looks like in the almost finished product. There's still a bit of work to do on that, but that's what it looks like. There we go, page 1 and page 2. And when that's all neatly printed, front and back, that's what you'll end up with. And you fold it there and fold it there. Too nice. Okay, that's about it. I won't drag on any further. I'm sorry if all that gets a little confusing, but stick with it, you'll get it right. The fold lines are the important part. Remember that the subheading left fold line there is slightly narrower than the centre one or the right-hand one. Now, because that's the other side of it, those fold lines are in slightly different places on that one than they are on the other one because it's the reverse of it. Just keep that in mind. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to subscribe. Click the thumbs up to like the channel. Tell your friends, share it around. And actually, when you've completed all that, you can save that as a template and it's there to use anytime you like. Just you don't have to save all of the fields, of course. Leave that on, and that on. There you go. And you save that. Go back to the other one. Go up to there. Put that on, that, and that. And that's showing up there because there's 2 copies of it, remember. One's on the master page and one's in your document. There we go. They're all back on. Select that. Pages. Go up to the panel there. And there you go. Okay, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.